Remind yourself to celebrate it till the point where you just automatically start celebrating your wins. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Dope Life Podcast, the dopest podcast ever. And I'm, of course, your host, Coach AJ, Dope Life Coach, the dopest life coach ever. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you never miss another episode. And if you could be oh so lovely and dope and leave us a rating and a review, we will greatly appreciate it so our podcast could get out to dope people just like yourself. So, as always, we're going to get into a little bit of deep breathing exercise just to kind of cleanse and clear out all the air so we can get ready to talk about today's episode. So I invite you to go ahead and close down your eyes if you're comfortable to do so. If not, you can keep your eyes open. And if you are operating any type of machinery or a vehicle, please keep your eyes on what you're doing or keep your eyes on the road. Visit back to this and you could do this exercise on your own when you are no longer doing that. So again, I go ahead and I invite you to close down your eyes. We're going to just take in 3 deep breaths in through our nose and out through our mouth. But when we are breathing out through our mouth, we want to sigh it out. All right. So in through our nose, out through our mouth. In through our nose, out through our mouth. One more time. In through our nose, out through our mouth. Okay. So if you had a stressful moment, that will help reduce your stress a little bit. And so we can gear up for today's episode. So today we're talking about self-love. Now, I know we're in the weeks of Valentine's Day, but let's talk about a little bit of love for ourselves, finding that love for ourselves and also finding steps that we can love ourselves even more. So why is self-love so important? Self-love is so powerful. It can start to trickle into our personal and professional life, but it also can start trickling into our self-esteem and confidence. You see, far too often we are so hard on ourselves and we may not think that we're doing right. And when you place that self-love in front of that feeling or that emotion or experience or situation, it can help us really pay attention to what we are doing, what we've contributed to, what we've accomplished. It takes away that negative aspect, that negative feeling, and places a sense of gratitude, a set for ourselves, a sense of love for ourselves, a sense of understanding and empathy for ourselves. Self-love is so powerful. It helps us reduce the shame that we may have. Now, I'm not saying that you'll never have a negative feeling to some degree. Like that may definitely happen. It happens to me. We're human, right? We have those moments, those pocket moments when those negative feelings may come in, but it's up to us of how long we decide to allow it to sit and fester and grow and just be even bigger than what it is. And when self love comes in front of that, it gives us a sense of warmth. It gives us a sense of being. It gives us a sense of ultimately love and that we can actually move on and that we are stronger, that we are better. But again, it shows us that empathy that we may give to so many and we lack it for ourselves. Many of us will say, like, it sounds great. It just sounds great to love ourselves, but like, what does it actually entail? What steps do I actually have to take? Louise Hay, and if you're familiar with Louise Hay, she had a quote that I found here. And she says this a number of times, a couple of videos I've seen, from her doing public speaking. If you want to love, like learn to love yourself more, like loving yourself is stopping criticism. And I really thought about that of how many times we criticize our work, criticize ourselves, criticize our overall being. Oh, I could have done better. Like I know I could have done, like just automatically just criticize the steps we've taken or where we're not at. And imagine if you were to remove that. Imagine if you were to remove that criticism and you replaced it with a sense of love for yourself, a sense of empathy, a sense of self-esteem and confidence, right? Which is obviously the fruits of the labor of going through self-love. But imagine if you were to remove that and place love in front of criticism that you have for yourself. How far would you go? How how further and forward can you actually move? I can't imagine like without having that self love in front of us and removing the criticism we have. And we criticize ourselves. because based off of society's steps that we should take, rather the steps that we should just take for ourselves and how it benefits us. It promotes self-criticism, right? Like off the bat, we're pointing at ourselves like, "Oh, look at this. I don't have this, blah blah blah. This is not where I should be. I should be doing better." Versus saying, "Okay, what have I accomplished? What have I done?" That love will beat that self-criticism. Because at the end of the day, like we are sometimes our own biggest critic. We are. And by being our own biggest critic, we could be placing roadblocks with every word and thought that we say about ourselves by criticizing ourselves. We could be placing it in front of every manifestation, every blessing, every piece of work that you're working on by just not allowing yourself to be and being so damn critical against yourself. I was reading 101 Essays by Brianna West. And if you are aware of that book, you may have an idea. If you're not, it's a great read. It's, you read a essay a day and it's a great way to tag along. Maybe you read one in the morning, one in the afternoon, whatever. I was reading essay number 27, I think, and we're talking about mantras. And, I believe in mantras and affirmations and things along those lines because not only are you just saying them, but they do help you prompt to do more in your life. So one of the mantras that stuck out with me the most was talking about how we tend to not give ourselves enough credit. And the question was, am I truly doing enough right now? Am I truly doing everything I can right now? Something along those lines. And I do apologize if I've butchered it. And I immediately said no. I know I could do more. I know I could do more. And this is like 6 p.m. at night. I just finished doing all my biz that I had to do, everything that was on my calendar, all my meetings. So now this is my time, AJ time. And I was like, man, like I know I could have done more today. So I went into my habit tracker. I have one on my phone and my notepad, and one of my habits is to read every day. So I went to just kind of click on it, and I noticed on my habit tracker that I had done so much of the habits. I missed like 2 out of I think it was like 11 that I aimed for a day, and I was quickly kind of stumped, thinking to myself, "You saying you could do more, but look at what you did. You've done so much in one day. You did some habits that sometimes you skip many times." One of them was a cold shower. Sometimes I don't do that every day. I did it that day. And I was like, wow, like, how am I going to say that I didn't do everything and not being in my great self right at this moment when I'm doing the work, when I'm actually implementing the skills and actually implementing the steps and actually implementing the strategy that I created? How am I saying to myself, I'm not doing enough? Sometimes we're so hard on ourselves for not doing enough when we are doing enough because we're doing exactly what we can that day. I said this before and I will say it again. If you're able to give the 30% that you have, if you have 30% and you give 30%, that means you gave 100. You gave everything you could to do exactly what you needed to do that day. You gave it your all. You gave it your all. Some days we don't even have 30. Some days we got 15. But somehow we managed to get enough courage and just do it. Somehow we managed to just get enough and just do it. No questions on why we're doing it. No questions on where we got the energy from. We're getting it done. Many of us have said that. Yo, I'm getting it done. I had to do it. I had to do what I had to do. And even if you had the 10%, you still did what you had to do. You still did what you had to do. So don't allow, just because you don't think in your brain that you're doing enough, take a step back and reevaluate what you have done. Because I guarantee you, you may not think you've done enough, but you've done enough. And you're doing exactly what you can do at that very moment. Give yourself some credit. Give yourself all the credit you can because you're doing exactly what you can right now. So let's explore a few like self-care practices that you can tap into. We're going to talk about emotional, physical, and also social. And these are the three that help me and my clients just kind of like take care of ourselves regularly. Because at the end of this, I want you to think about a way that you can incorporate some of these into your weekly routine, daily routine, and so on and so forth. So let's talk about physical self-care. So physical self-care obviously it could be exercise, stretching, meditation as well. Because you could do body scans and things like that. But I incorporate physical self-care. I Movement is so more important than we think. you know, Obviously studies have shown with exercise, we release endorphins that just like they're like the happy, kind of like the sun. They call it the happy dose, right? Like how the sun, when it hits you, you automatically start feeling like, oh man, this is great feeling, right? Exercise, believe it or not, many people don't exercise so much for the body. I don't. It's a benefit, it's cool, but I exercise for this up here, right? Because I understand the physical exercise relieves certain endorphins that helps my mental health and helps me practice self-care and me taking care of myself. Another type of self-care, believe it or not, okay, and I understand if many of us may not have access to it, is going to the doctor regularly, okay? Going to a clinic, walking clinics, whatever, going to those type of things regularly, visiting the dentist regularly, you know what I mean? Again, of course, going outside, nature, huge benefits, even if it's cold. Like y'all, I live in Canada. It is freezing right now. We're in February. It is not warm at all. It's winter. But I still try to take a chance to go outside and let that cold breeze lick me right in the face as soon as I open that door. And even if it just means you're going for a quick walk or you're just throwing the garbage out, stand outside for a couple extra minutes and allow you to just be in nature. It is vital. It is important. We need it. Now, the last two for physical is quite important. And the reason why I'm highlighting these two a little bit more is because many do it, but I'm not sure for my coffee drinkers out there. Sometimes we'll have a coffee, we forget to do what? Hydrate. Because the coffees, sometimes our coffees will last. I don't know about you, but sometimes my coffee lasts a whole day. It takes me forever to sometimes finish a cup nowadays. Now more than ever because I'm in between water and coffee. So, to what I was remembering, and I could be wrong, but to what I remember, coffee dehydrates the shit out of you. Like it literally dehydrates you. So, if you're drinking coffee, let's say some people I know drink more than one cup, eliminate one if you can, or slowly eliminate one. Incorporate some more agua, more H2O, more water. Hydration is important for overall physical body. It is self-care, believe it or not, because we are made up. I had the number in my head. I apologize. It's like I think it's 75 to 80%, or it's 65 to 75% of water. Regardless, we're made up of water. So if we dispel it, we got to replenish it. The second last, well, the absolute last one, because I said there was two last ones I had. This is the absolute last one. Relaxation. I'm not talking about sleeping. Sleeping is important. Sleeping is definitely important. I'm talking about just simply relaxing, just simply being. Our bodies are constantly moving. Bodies are constantly going. When was the last time you just sat down and rested? And I'm not talking about vacation or you're at the cottage. I mean regularly implementing time to relax. If it means you sit in front of the TV and you watch wrestling, that's something my brother does. Or you're in your garden, that's my pops. There's so many different ways that you can relax. Just incorporate it more. Do it more. Because as you self care, this is not just good for your physical, but it's good for your overall well being. So let's talk about emotional self care. I'm going to tap into some that have just straight up helped me out. Now, I know you've heard journaling. I'm scrapping that word for a moment. I understand that some people who are journaling, they're like, I ain't doing it. I say, yeah, you should, if journaling has helped me, I ain't doing it. Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. So I've switched it for many. And I say, yo, write down your thoughts. Grab a piece of paper, write down your thoughts at the end of your day. What bugged you? What did you want to celebrate? What little wins did you have? What person annoyed you while you were driving or person cut you off? Like, write down your thoughts. Get it all on paper. The minute you get it on paper, I guarantee you sometimes you feel so much better. You get it on paper, you go have a hot shower, you're gonna be like, all right, cool. Like there's something with the combination of both I can't quite understand, but both work very well. If you write down your thoughts, if you had a bad day and you write down your thoughts and you say, I had a bad day, let me just write out what I gotta write out. And you sit there, you write out everything you got. Everything. And then you go and you have a hot shower and you have a meal. I don't know why, but those things just collaborate very well. So shout outs to those and give it a try. The other thing for emotional is affirmations and mantras. I mentioned that earlier. The two are, and you could say it, but also have principles and have values behind it. Like you got to live it. So you could say affirmations, but you got to live it. You have to live it. You can't just be saying them like, okay, I'm gonna go to the mirror and I'm gonna say, I love myself. I am this. I feel this. I understand this, but you're not living this. You have to live it as well. You got to mean what you say and say what you do. So if you are saying those affirmations on those index and cue cards or those affirmation cards that you bought off of Instagram, TikTok, or even Amazon, make sure that you are living it as well. And I'm not trying to put pressure. It's just that you're trying to live it every day, that you're trying to implement it every day. You feel abundance. Okay. How can you show the abundance to the world? Hold a door for someone, give something of value. Yeah, and I'm not even talking about money. You can give their time, like your time, whatever. But if you're saying it, you actually gotta be doing it and believing it too. And lastly, for emotional self care, stress management tools. Okay, there's so many. I could have. There's yoga. There's swimming. There's sleep. Believe it or not, there's sleep. Of course, I mentioned meditation. There's so many, guys. Implement them, add them into your schedule. You know that maybe if you're a parent, you know that the kids have this. They're not going to be around you around this time. Okay, a week, schedule in some time for yourself. So, like, you got to get up a little bit earlier maybe to do it. I had a client that would literally get up early in the morning to have a cup of coffee by themselves. And when they went to go wake up the kids, bring them to school, get themselves to work, they found a shift within a week by just implementing a moment for themselves. It's for them, that's a mindfulness activity because they had their coffee, they would meditate shortly after, have a shower without being interrupted. That was a big one for them. You know what I mean? To them, that was something they needed to do. And they didn't always get up early. They may sometimes did it once a week and it helped them a ton. So creating also other ways that tools that you can use that are very much at your own disposal that you can tap into right now. And lastly is social. So social, I know some people you've heard it, they will tell you disappear for 6 months, do X, Y, and Z, and you'll come back and be, unrecognizable, which is true. Yeah, you could disappear for 6 months, go in a corner, go in your room, hustle, work, exercise, this, that. But I disagree with it. Of course, some other people may say otherwise, because in those moments I've learned I needed connection. I still needed to interact with people and I still needed my support system. I still needed to like feel around cuz it sounds like it's isolation and I get it. Like isolation sometimes is preparation. I understand that. But like if it's forced, why would I want to force it when I can just still be around people that can help me along the way? And who knows, while I'm working on myself, I can encourage someone without even realizing for them to work on themselves too. Now they're like, yo, when you going to the gym? I'm gonna tag along with you. I bet. Come. I'll go at this time. Okay, cool. Because at the end of the day, when we're doing those type of activities to change our overall life and to make ourselves grow and to elevate, we need to create a strategy to also maintain that. So if I go away for 6 months, how am I gonna? And let's say like I just kind of isolate myself and just tunnel vision. How am I gonna be when I come back up after those 6 months? Like, am I able to maintain this? Or now I got to incorporate the people around me. And now I got to incorporate that social setting. So keep the connections. Now, what you can do is evaluate your environments. If you find like certain environments are not quite hitting the way they used to, you're allowed to evaluate it, and you're allowed to remove yourself to protect your peace, to protect your energy, protect it. Take your mental health, whatever you got to do. If Start evaluating it. That's a form of self-care. And start creating some boundaries too while you're at it. Create boundaries where they protect all of those. Your energy, your mental health, all of it. You're allowed to do that as well. So lastly, I kind of wanted to talk about, while you're learning to self-love yourself, like, practice that self-love. There's one that I think a lot of us have a bit of difficulty doing, celebrating your wins. I remember I had such a tough time celebrating. I would graduate from programs, I would finish this, but I would still be in tunnel vision, like, yeah, I did it. And people were like, yo, congratulations. I'm like, yeah, thank you. And then like a week later, I'd be like, oh shoot, I did do that. I did accomplish that. I did make that work. Because the thing is, you're not always going to be celebrated by others for you being fearless, for the tenacity, for the hard work, the hours that you put in. And it's up to you to do that. It's truly up to you to constantly celebrate your wins, whether it's big and small. And sometimes people don't even know that you've done something, because if you're like me, I don't always tell people when I'm learning and growing and doing things. Sometimes I tell them way after the fact because I'm just trying to like focus on it. And to be fair, some people's energy is just not warranted. So I just kind of like keep it on a hush, so protect it as much as I can. And then I work towards it as much as I can. And for the longest time, I had a tough time. Like for real, I had a tough time dealing with the thought process of celebrating my wins. And this is something that I've been working on, because I'm a work in progress as well. So I want to leave you with this. If you're working on, changing a habit, doing a class, working towards just your health, your overall well-being, your mental health, your wellness, personal growth, whatever it is, make sure that you add in on that lovely checklist of yours, celebrate your win. Remind yourself to celebrate it till the point where you just automatically start celebrating your wins. Everything that you've worked on, everything that you're working on, celebrate it today. Celebrate it right now. Even if it's just you just working on yourself and you trying to just elevate yourself by clocking in every week to check out the Dope Life podcast. That is you investing in you. That is you putting yourself first. That is you saying, I want to do better. Celebrate that. That takes a lot of guts to look at yourself and reflect and say that I want more. There's people who are no longer here on this earth that wanted the exact same thing that you wanted, and they wish that they did it when they were no longer going to be here. But you took the time today to say, I want more. I want more. And you have every right to say that you want it. And you have every right to go after it. It is yours. It is yours. And I want you to repeat that to yourself. I want more. And then ask yourself, what do I want more of? How am I going to get it? How is this going to benefit me? Get excited about it, but celebrate it. Big, small, don't make a difference. Celebrate it. I'm going to give you a tip of how I celebrate it sometimes. I would literally put like how I write out like 5 or 6 ways. How can I celebrate a win? And to be honest with you, one of my best ways to celebrate it is with a Reese's Buttercup. You put in that sucker in the freezer and I'm good. That was one of my best ways to celebrate. I'll get a pack, boop, freezer, I'm good. Start figuring out ways that you could you start celebrating your own wins, because you are a winner. You've accomplished so much, even till today. Start celebrating all of your wins now. So as we wrap up this episode, I want you to remember that self-love is a journey. So it's not going to just come overnight. It's definitely going to take some time. It's definitely going to take some work. It's definitely going to take a little bit of energy, a little bit of elbow grease. But once you kind of find a nice groove and you keep doing it, you're not going to want to go back. Once you feel like your self-esteem and your confidence is on the rise, you're not going to want to go back, and you're going to protect your own self-love more than anything. So Today, I'll just do a quick recap. We talked about self love and ways to practice self love, and how you can incorporate more self love into your own journey that you're in right now. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. As always, if you can, go ahead, screenshot this episode, add it to your stories, tag us in Dope Life Coach underscore or Dope Life Pod. I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. And I will see you next week. As always, walk with peace, walk with love.